So this is my 97 Honda Accord with 206,000 miles on it. This morning it would not start. It had sat for about a week and a half, and in the past, after weekends, it had kind of started up a little rough. It sounded like it was missing on one cylinder, so I figured it was spark plugs or possibly the wires. So I went and bought new plugs and wires, came home. Very first one I pulled out, this one, the plug was soaked in oil. The coil was soaked in oil. Inside here it was just filled with oil. Oh, that's on tight. I did a good job. There we go. So you can still see a little residual oil. I cleaned those out real good. But after a little online searching, I learned that there's little O-rings that when they fail on this, it lets oil get into the spark plug well, and eventually it fills all the way with oil. So to repair that, we got a new valve cover gasket kit. Comes with a new valve cover gasket and 4 O-rings, one for each cylinder. I watched 2.5 YouTube videos on how to do this, so I'm kind of an expert. Doesn't look like it'll be too difficult. You got this bolt, this one over here, this one in the back, this one. This hose you have to take off. I already popped this out of these little holders. And then the entire valve cover should just pop off, just like the other YouTube videos. It looks so easy. So we shall see. So what I did was just put a little pry energy underneath there. Loosen it a little bit. See, that was so most of the gasket stayed, including that gasket right there. So those we'll have to pull out. It came out easier than in the videos. actual valve cover gasket. Half of it stayed stuck to the car. There we go. There's the old gasket. Nice and easy. Could probably get another 200,000 out of that motor. Good Honda quality. So on the 2.5 videos that I watched on YouTube for this, they both cleaned this area really good, and also on this side, right down in there, front and back. I had the videos muted, so I didn't hear why they were doing it, but it looked pretty important, so make sure you do that. And before you put the new gasket on, put a little dab of RTV sealant front and back on there, and front and back over on this side here as well, right at that little hump. That way you get a good clean seal on your new gasket. We'll just clean up the cylinder areas a little bit, try to get that excess oil away. Alright, so I put these right over spark plug wells. No instructions in the kit. Don't feel like watching the videos again. Hopefully that's right. The parts place gave me the wrong gasket. The new one's about 1.5 inches longer than what it should be, so I'm just reusing the old one since it was fine. Hopefully these fix my oil in the spark plug cylinder issue. Since I've got it all apart, I really don't want to go back to the parts store. Alright, so we got a little bit of sealant on each of those. Get this side a little bit. Put Let's see, we're missing something here on the front. It's that gap right there. It's not quite seated properly. Let's see if that tightens it any. Better. Alright, so we'll just tighten up the other bolts. Replacement bolt that size in the old toolbox. Other than that, we're almost done. Alright, so I found a spare bolt in my little kit here. I think it looks better than the factory ones, honestly. Like little bling on your engine, which of course I do. So that should hold her tight. I'll go ahead and reconnect everything. We'll start her up and see if oil shoots everywhere. I'm hoping not. Just noticed a problem. We're gonna have to fix that. That should not be in there. They did not give me that one with the new wires. Just the 4 wires came in the kit. Must have been a part return or something. Never got a set of coils that didn't come with the main one. First time for everything though. So we just need to reattach that to the wire here and we should be good. Oh no. That one boot got pinched when I was putting the cover back down on it. So we're gonna have to take it apart, fix it. Fun. Alright, so had to go back to the parts store and get the correct gasket kit. I took the valve cover with me, made them open it so I could make sure I was getting the correct one. And it goes back a lot easier with the right gasket set. Who would have thunk it? So this wire that I had broke, what I ended up doing was, I should have recorded it, but basically the end of it fell off. So I used some pliers, just opened up the crimp on the piece of metal, pushed it back on top of the wire, and then used pliers to squeeze it back onto the wire. So it's making good contact. In theory, should be ready to start back up and test it and see if any oil comes shooting out. Gotta say, that is the fastest this car has ever started. Usually it'll crank for a good second or two before it actually starts. So I think not having the spark plug wells completely filled with oil and brand new spark plugs and wires actually did help on this. But the real test if the gasket kit fixed my issue will be after driving it for, I don't know, probably 500 to 1,000 miles, and I'll just pull out one of the spark plug boots and see if it's covered in oil or not. But so far, so good. Looks like we got it. The gasket kit, the correct one, ended up being $41 at O'Reilly's. The incorrect one that I bought from, what was it, Advance Auto, that one was $32 plus tax. So when I bought the first one, all they asked me was 4-cylinder or 6-cylinder, and that was it. So when I went to O'Reilly's, I know there's a EX, there's a DX, there's a couple different models of these, and they do come in 4 cylinders, and they're not the same. So I made him look it up by the VIN number on my car, and that's how we ended up getting the correct gasket kit. So they are capable of looking it up the right way. You just have to help them, because you can't trust that they're gonna do it on their own. But always supply your VIN or your exact model. I bought this car used, it was debadged, does not have the model number on it anywhere, it's not on the title. But now I know it is a Honda Accord SE. I assume that stands for Supercar Edition. So if you have a 97 Honda Accord, might be worth checking your spark plug boots, make sure they're not covered in oil, and if they are, you need a valve cover gasket kit. If you get the parts correct the first time, this is about a 30 to 60 minute job. On a scale of 1 to 10, I would say it's maybe a 4. Pretty easy. All the bolts right there, nothing crazy, no special tools. Pretty simple fix.